So we just established that the Gemara says that even though the words are referring to the Mishkan, the words Pesach, Pesach, Shachtu Pesach Ol Moed, those words are referring to the Mishkan. The Gemara's question yesterday was, how could you extrapolate that over to the Beis Hamikdash? Right, so the Gemara answered that there really was that they're interchangeable. Right, and they gave an example of the fact that Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel that if you shech the shlomim before the doors were open, you cannot, the carbon is not valid because of the fact that it has to be a Pesach Ol Moed, only when they're open and not when they're closed. Even though that pasuk is referring to Mishkan, must be. So that's where we left off. Must be. We find Mikdash that's called Mishkan. We find Mishkan that's called Mikdash. So Bishleim, that's what up to the words Bishleim, which are 2, 4, 5 lines to the bottom. So Bishleim and Mikdash Dikri Mishkan. I get the fact that we have Mikdash referring to Mishkan, which is really enough for us. I mean, that's all really that we need, because once we have a Mikdash that's referred to Mishkan, then you can just simply say that therefore in the Beis Hamikdash too, the word Pesach is there, and therefore that defined, and the 20 amis, the 10 amis height is indeed valid, because you have that same reference. The word Pesach is they're interchangeable. It says Sabishem and Mikdash Dikri Mishkan Diksiv Nasati Mishkani B'Seichechem. Right, the pasuk says, it's a pasuk Gimel in the Torah, V'Nasati Mishkani B'Seichem V'Loi Segal Nafshi Eschem V'Yikra Chavav. Okay, so that pasuk clearly is not referring to the Mishkan. It's referring to a futuristic temple that will be built. Okay, and I will give that Mishkan in your midst, must be referring to the Mikdash. You see that even though the word Mishkan is used, it's referring to the Beis Hamikdash. Mishkan Dikra Mikdash Minolan. But what about the other way around? Even though this is not really necessary for our purposes, but we do want to know that also a Mishkan is called Mikdash, and therefore we can learn out things from the Beis Hamikdash and apply them to the Mishkan as well. So how do we know that? So if you want to tell me that the fact that the Kohasim carried the Mikdash, okay, vekimu es Mishkan ad ba'am, they established, they put together the Mishkan until the rest of the Kohanim got there. If you want to say from that pasuk about the Kohasim carrying, or what did they carry? Now we know they carried the Mishkan. Right, they carried when they were in the time of the Torah where they had the Mishkan, and yet what is the language used? They used the language of Mikdash. So do we see the other side as well, that you can see that it's interchangeable from that side? Where it says that's not a good raya. Who ba'aron ksiv, when the Kohasim, when Shevet Kos carried what the Torah calls as Mikdash, is that really referring to the entire Mishkan, or is referring to the Aron in specific? And we see that the Aron could be called Mikdash, but you don't see it. The Mishkan could be called Mikdash. So Elam Yacha, you're right, that's not a good proof, but rather this is a proof, the famous pasuk, that maybe is the most darshan pasuk maybe in the entire Torah. Vasli Mikdash v'shechanti b'socham. Okay, that where the Torah says, make for me a sanctuary and I will dwell in it. So what's it referring to? It's not referring to the Beis Hamikdash, is referring to the Mishkan. That was the instruction to build a Mishkan, and yet what's it called? It's called a Mikdash. So you see that those two words are interchangeable, and therefore what applies to the Mishkan can go to the Mikdash. What applies to the Mikdash can go to the Mishkan, and all is good.
That doesn't make sense that you need the Mikdash to apply to the Mishkan, because once the Mishkan was done, there's no more Mishkan. We're not going to build another Mishkan.
Okay, but we can, true, but we could learn out. So, I mean,
you're trying to learn from the word Mikdash what you can do in the Mishkan, but the Mishkan you had, and you're over with. By the time this came around for the Mikdash, the Mishkan was finished.
Yeah, but that's assuming that there are no laws that were written regarding the future Mikdash that now we can extrapolate over to the Mishkan.
So it would only be for the Jews, though, that are or who were the sign of them. And you had Moshe Rabbeinu, you had a Baruch Baruch Hu, you had a question, you know.
No, but if the Torah writes something about a futuristic Migdash that have certain rules, then you know, and you're at the time of the Jews in the desert, you know that they set those same rules apply to the Mishkan, because the two words are interchangeable. So any rule that you would know about that was referenced as relates to the Migdash would apply as well. Okay, let's take a look at the Rashis. Right, Haba Mishkan Ksiv Ubeis Halam Minalon. Right, so I guess so right, that was a question that was referring to the Mishkan. How do you know to extend it to the Beis HaMikdash? Okay, so he says V'nasati Mishkanim B'Seichem. So we want to know. So I understand the fact that the Torah says V'nasati Mishkanim B'Seichem. That's very good. Shenema Mikrazeh, says Rashi, when this pasuk was said, Kvar Hukam Mishkan, the Mishkan was already erected. So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu mean when he said V'nasati Mishkanim B'Seichem? Shebetorah's Kohanim Ksiv. That pasuk is written in Vayikra. And that entire sefer was said by the Ol Moed. Kediksiv, Vaydaber Shemei Lov Me Ol Moed. Okay, Hashem spoke to him from the tent of the sanctuary, which is referring to the Pesach of the Mishkan. Well, Eza Mishkan Hayam Avtichon Od, and what other Mishkan are we referring to of a futuristic promise? Im Loyal Migdash, unless it's the Migdash. So clearly you see from that pasuk that you can call the Beis HaMikdash, the futuristic Beis HaMikdash, Mishkan. So that's one way. And what about the other direction? And that's really, like I said, that's really is what we need for our purposes today, to be able to connect the Mishkan to the Beis HaMikdash. That's all we need. That needs to be a Pesach, and that's the definition of Pesach. And the Ula, the Heichel rather, which is now also called the Pesach, based on the Mishkan, needs to be it needs to be whatever the rules are in terms of its height. That's how we're going to move it over to the laws of Shabbos as well. It got to be a Pesach, defining the word what a Pesach is, and a Pesach is 10 amas high. I'm sorry, Pesach is 10 amas wide and 20 amas high. Okay, so next Rashi, but wait a minute, if you want to use kahos as a basis, hu ba'aranksiv, that pasuk about kahos is referring to the Aron. Shuhu masa b'nei kahos, that was what the b'nei kahos carried. V'al shu mekudosh mishar hamasos, kar migdash. The Torah calls it migdash not because they carried that it's referring to the Beis HaMikdash, or that it's a reference to the entire Mishkan. It's a reference to only the specific Aron called Migdash because it is the holiest of all of the Kalim that were carried, and Kahas had that distinct special role. Okay, so bottom line is, but you're right, but we proved that V'yosuli Migdash V'shachati B'socham is the definitive proof. Okay, so right now the world is good. We have the Rabbanon saying the shear is 20. We have the Rabbi Yehuda saying the shear is 40, and the basis for each one seems to be the Beis Hamikdash. One's from the Ulam. Rabbi Yehuda learns it out from the Ulam, and the Rabbanon learn out from the Pesach to the Heichal. So now we have a different question. So Bein Rabbanon, Bein Rabbi Yehuda, according to both of these Tanoim, Lilfumi Pesach Shara Chotzer, why do you choose to learn out the opening, which is 10 amas wide, right? What does the Mishnah say? That if it's more than 10 amas wide, you have to lessen it. But there is another, and the Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. He would say you need it's up to 20 amas, right? Well, that's how big the ulam was. But wait a minute, we should have another basis to say even a wider opening would be good, right? Because the Mishnah didn't just talk about the height of the korah; it also talked about the width of the opening. And the Mishnah said that if the opening is more than 10 amas wide, you need to lessen it. Why should that be true? Bein Rabbanan, Bein Rabbi Yehuda, Lilfim Pesach Shara Chotzer. Let's learn out from the opening of the courtyard into the Mishkan. The Ksiv Orach HaChotzer Meya Ba'ama. The length of the Chotzer was 100, coming from east to west. Right, the Holy of Holies was in the far west, so you went from east to west. and then of course you had the sides, north-south side. So the length was east to west. It was 100 amas in its length. Rochav chamishim b'chamishim, and its width was 50 amas. Chamisha b'chamishim v'koma chamish amas, and its height was 5 amas. The entranceway. Orach hachotzameya ba'ama v'rochav chamishim b'chamishim v'koma chamish amos. Uksiv, so those were the basic dimensions. 5 amas high at the entranceway, 100 deep, and 50 amas wide. Okay, but you had the entrance. So how big was the opening of the entrance? V'chamish asri amma kloim l'koseif. Okay, and there were one corner, one shoulder, literally, but really means one side of the entranceway were 15 amas of curtains. Uksiv l'koseif hashenis. Okay, and the other side also, from one side to the other, each corner had 15 amas of curtains of fencing, right? That sort of created the front wall with the opening. Now, if it's 50 amas wide and you have two sides each of 15 amas, that totals 30 amas. So what do you have in the middle of the 30 amas? You have 20 amas opening to walk through to get into the Mishkan. So if you have the word Pesach, Shara Chotzer, and it's referring to a 20 amma opening, does not tell you that legitimately you can be 20 amas wide and still be called a Pesach. Why is the Mishnah limiting you to a 10 amma wide opening when this situation here allows you to go 20? It's Pesach Shar HaChotzer. Okay. Ma'alahalan, once I get Chamesh Esrim Amma, right? Ma'alahalan Chamesh Barochav Esrim. Afkan Chamesh Barochav Esrim. So just like there, Chamesh Barochav Esrim, Afkan Chamesh Barochav Esrim. So it should be, right, just like by the Mishkan, it was 5 amas high, right? That's what it says. The heights of the curtains were 5 amas on the entranceway. So if there is indeed a 5 amma height Korah, you should be allowed to go to 20. Now, the Gemara's question is not always go to 20, but at least in the case of the Shara Chotzer, when you had the curtains 5 amas high, you should be able to at least go to 20 amas width, because that's what the way it was there. So 5 by 20 should be a legitimate figuration of the entranceway. Maybe when it's not so low, maybe that might be different, but for sure you have that case in point of the entranceway of the chutzner of the Mishkan. To which Gemara answers, nice try, but there's a difference between Pesach Shar Chutzner and Pesach Ohel. There's a difference. Why? He says Pesach Shar Chutzner Ikrei, Pesach Stam Lo Ikrei. That case is called the opening of the gate of the chutzner, but it's not called an opening, a doorway stam. Okay, it's called Pesach Shar Chutzner, and therefore it does not take on the title and the quality of what you need to be called a Pesach, a standard Pesach. There it says Pesach Ohel, that's a Pesach, and here it's Pesach Shar Chutzner. There's sort of too many sort of titles it's too definitive and too specific to apply to other cases. Okay, so it's not a good source. So look at Rashi. Pesach Shar Chutzner Aroichiv Parach. The Gemara is now asking on the width of the entranceway. We've left the height right now. Maybe we'll go back to it, but right now we left the height, and we'll focus on the width. The Tama season of Avrohom Stulberger, if it's more than 10 amas, the Mishnah says you have to lessen it and build some new fencing to lessen the width of the opening. Why should that be the case? We do find an opening of a chutzner which is indeed 20. The Pesach, and it's still called an opening. Diksiv, as it says in the positive, is Kalei Chotzer. Okay, the curtains of the chutzner is Mosach Pesach Shara Chotzer, but Parshas Nosoi. Diksiv, this is written all in Parshas Nosoi. Okay, and you see that it was 5 amas high, 15 amas wide, on a 50 amma the curtains, and it was on a 50 amma area. So you have two corners of 15 amas each, leaves you a 20 amma opening in the middle. But on the height, and with the intention of parceling Why not? So why not ask the question? So wait a minute. If that's Pesach and the height is 5, let's limit the height to 5 amas. Why should we allow 20? If you want to make this the definitive source, then you should also ask that the height more than 5 should not be acceptable. We're going up to 20. Shouldn't be allowed to go up to 20. Motzi Park, that you can't ask. Because we do find an additional place, namely the Heichal, that was 20 amas high, also called a Pesach. So once I find a higher level, of course I have right to go to the higher level, right? The Torah here doesn't say that there's nothing higher than this could be called a Pesach. So the fact that it's 5 amas, it's called a Pesach, doesn't limit it to a higher. But on the width part, where I see it's called a Pesach and it's wider, well then that should be legitimately able to be wider than the 10 amas of the Heichal. So what's the deal? V'rochav chatzar mishkan nunama. Okay, right. So this is still part of the earlier calculation. The width of the entire Mishkan was 50. It was 50 by 100. The basic area that you're dealing with in the courtyard of the Mishkan was a 50 by 100 area. V'odiksiv chamishim b'chamishim. Perek Beis Mefarish. That's what it says 50 by 50. We'll explain what that means because it's really not 50 by 50. It was 50 by 100. Okay, but we got to wait apparently till Daf Chav Gimel to get to that. And there was an opening in the middle of its width, which obviously makes sense. That's where you're going to put an opening right in the middle as you walk in. V'sasmo b'kloim tezvav am mitzad. You close it up with curtains 15 amas on this side. Shal Pesach v'tezvav am mitzad shal Pesach. Okay, so and then 15 amas on the other side. That was the wall. As you looked at the Mishkan from the outside, you see your approach to the Mishkan. You see these two curtains, each one 15 amas wide, and an opening of 20. If it was holding was 50, that's obviously the math. Okay. What you have is 20 amas wide in the middle. Right, because it says 15 amas for each shoulder or each corner. Right, and the kosef, the shoulder, is the side of the opening. So it's like the shoulder, like the sides of a body is a shoulder. So the sides of the opening are called the kosef. Okay, the shoulders of the opening. So So what about the fact that there too it was 5? Is that weiter? I think that's weiter. He says once yeah. So once so Malahalan gave a chamesh. Right, just so it's part of our Gemara. So just like over there, it was 5 amas high, and it was 20 amas wide. So he says, so it should be the same way over here. That if you go 5 amas high, you should be able to go 20 amas wide. And the answer is no. It's you can't compare the words Pesach Oel to Pesach Shar Chatzar. Pesach Shar Chatzar is different. Okay, right. So that's what we're up to. So, right. So we caught up on the Rashis. So we had a kasha that let's make it wider. The answer is you can't make it wider because it's not a legitimate reference when you use the words Pesach Shar Chatzar. It's not succinct enough. It needs to be Pesach plain, and therefore, sorry. You can't prove that a 20 amma opening is a legitimate opening. Okay, that's one answer. Vibos ema, or I'll give you a different answer altogether, that there is no proof that the opening is 20 amas wide. Right, we thought we had an ironclad proof, 15 amas wide, a break of 20 in the middle, and you have a proof that the opening to the courtyard of the Mishkan was 20 amas. Not so fast. Vibos Seimer, I'll give you a different answer. Back to the Gemara about 10 lines down. Vibos Seimer, Kiksiv Kloim, Chamesh Esrei Amal Kosef, when the Pasuk says that the curtains were 15 amas in its dimension, but Goivahu Diksiv. Who says they were 15 amas wide? And assuming they were 5 amas tall, right? No, they were 15 amas tall. Really? Okay. That's going to be That's going to be a little bit of a difficult explanation. Why? Because the height, we said that the height of the curtains were 5 amas. It's beferish in the pasuk. So now you're telling me that instead of the curtains being 15 amas wide, they're 15 amas tall. In which case, it means we have no reference about the width at all. Whereas if you don't, in other words, our whole calculation was based on the fact that the curtains were 15 amas wide on both sides. If now we're saying they're 15 amas high, and we have no reference, we have nothing to talk about the width, we have no idea whether they might have been 20 amas wide, in which case leaving only a 10 amma opening in the middle. But the only problem is, how in the world do you have them 15 amas high when we have another passage saying that they were 5 amas high? That's the challenge right now. Amas. Doesn't it say that the height of the curtains of the Mishkan were 5 amas? The answer is Hahu misfas mizbeach ulumaylo. Okay, so the answer is that it was 5 amas high, but not from the ground. It was 5 amas high from the edge of the Mizbeach, which itself was 10 amas. It was 5 amas over the edge of the Mizbeach. And the reason was you wanted to give the Kohen privacy where people wouldn't see what the Kohen was doing on the Mizbeach from the outside. So you wanted to be more private. So if you learn that way, then you have absolutely no reference in the Torah as to how big the opening was. The curtains were 15 amas, 5 higher than the Mizbeach. And now, okay, so it's unknown. So therefore, the kasha b'chal goes by the wayside because there is no source at all. It is, according to this pshat, if you were asked how big was the opening as you walked into the courtyard of the Mishkan, the answer is I have no idea. We have no idea. The Torah doesn't tell us, and therefore we don't know.
The pasuk before that said its height was 5.
It was 5 higher than the Mizbeach. That was more his question. How do you say it's 15 high when the question is it's 5 high? It was 5 higher than the Mizbeach, which now is being explained as 15 amas tall.
The other measurements were still holding as the way we understood.
Yeah, correct.
It's not 100 each way from the Mizbeach. It's like
No. You're right. That's more clear that what it was referring to. Yes. Okay. So let's take a look at the Rashi. Begayvahu diksiv. So now it's changing pshat that the 15 amas is not about the width, which is what we thought originally. It's referring to the height. Shagova klom hamizrachios, the eastern walls where you entered, and the eastern curtains that you entered in with, bizem mizel pesach, from each side going in, tezvav amma yosim mishar kolei achotzer, is 15 amas more than the rest of the curtains of the chotzer. Devlugoiva Chaf, which were 20. Begayva hudiksiv shagavua klam hamizrachios mizeh mizeh lepesach tezvav amayosa mishar kol yachotzer devlugayva chaf. To the width there was no measurement, but it was 15 amas more. Mishar kol yachotzer devlugoyva chaf. The height of the other curtains around were 20, and this were only 15, but it's not more, it's less actually. One more time. Shegava kloim hamazruchos mizeh mizeh lepesach tezvav amr yoisem mishar kol yachotzer. I guess what Rashi means, it was an additional curtains. In other words, I think that's how you have to read Rashi. It's a little funny. That in other words, there were additional curtains on the eastern side, additional to the other curtains that separated the rest of the Mishkan, right? Because the Mishkan was it was more than a U. But let's just picture the U for a minute. You have the back western wall, and you have the north-south walls of 100 amas long. And now, additionally, there were 15 amma curtains, in addition to the other curtains that were 20. So these were actually 5 less than those other curtains. I guess that's how you have to read it. Okay, but based on this new reading that we're talking about the height of the curtains as opposed to the width of the curtains, we have no knowledge or no ability to be able to determine how big the opening was. So Mala Halangeva Chamesh. One second. No, we did that. Okay, Ahu Chamesh Amos Misfas Kloim Ulamata. So that's weiter, no? Yeah, no. Second here. No, it's okay. Hahu misfas mizbeach ulamayla. What?
We did that part.
Right, we did that, but even though the Rashi's gear is a little bit different. Misfas kloim ulamata. Okay, so those five amis are from the edge of the curtains down. So it was like lamata. Let's see. I think Rashi's referring to. He has this girsa. I guess the aleph he changes the girsa. Yoksiv v'koim chamesh amos. Humisfas klom. Okay, there's a girsa change. The Bach changes the girsa. Okay, that's from the edge of the kloim downwards. That those 5 amis. Okay, so lamata mi osen tezvav shenetfu mizeh umizeh. Pesach or you owed hay goiva shovel shara kloim valayim nitais with tesvav begoiva mibeis avre pesach develu chaf. Okay, so I think that's okay. So this is the other pshat. So that I think we were looking at that other Rashi and saying what's he referring to. So it sounds again, if it's misfas mizbeach or misfas kloim, seems to be 2 different pshatim. So I assume that we're talking misfas mizbeach. But let's see Rashi again. So the answer was, but you told me the height is 5. So what do you mean the height is 5 when the height is? When you tell me now the height is 15. So misfas klom ulamata lamata mi osen tesvav. Shenetfu mizeh umizeh. Okay, from the edge of the curtains. Lamata mi osen tesvav lower than the additional 15 that extended from the other curtains. LePesach hayu od hey goiva shavel l'shara kloim. There was an additional 5 that made it equal to the other kloim. Valeim netaisu tesvav begoiva mibeis avrei pesach develu chaf. So it sounds like Rashi's this version is 15 plus 20. That's what it sounds like. That they added 15 above the difference of because there was a difference of 15 to 20 is 5. So the 20, those 5 amis that the other curtains were higher than the 15, they added this 15. Okay, I'm a little bit confused about this version. Let's do the next version, because apparently it sounds like according to this version of Rashi that the 15 were added to the 20. That it actually sounded like it was maybe 35 in height. I'm not sure. Okay, Lishna Achrina. Begoivahu diksiv. There's another version. Okay, I think this hopefully will be more than what I was thinking. Lishna Achrina. Begoivahu diksiv. The goiva kol kalechotz sav tezvav ama. The height of all the curtains around were 15 amis. But we have no idea of what the shear was in terms of the opening of the courtyard. And according to this version, okay, at the end of the Gemara, it's the 5 that we're talking about is additional 5 is referring to the Mizbeach, that it was 5 higher than the Mizbeach. Shamizbeach goiva eser, because the mizbeach was 10 amas. This is a pshat that we had said, so I was going with the Lishna Achrin of Rashi. Shamizbeach goiva eser v'kloim goiva simenu chamesh, and these curtains were 5 higher than the mizbeach. So the 5 is referring to the distance between the mizbeach and the rest of the curtains. Devlu tezvav kadesh le koyin oimed alav, in order for the koyin not to stand on the mizbeach. V'avoida biyadoi. So, right? It wouldn't be right for everyone to be able to look out from outside and look inside and see the kohen standing on the mizbech, which was 10 amas. In order to give privacy to the kohen, they made the curtain 5 amas higher than the mizbech, but for a total of 15. Ushtein Shemati, I heard both, but this is Iker. Okay, so at least we went with the Iker pshat. I'm still not clear with the other pshat, exactly what that means. I'll try to look into it more. till tomorrow. V'chein mefurish b'zvachim perakotche kadoshim mefurish lashon rishon tohu. Oh, if you learn the first shot, you're making a mistake. Okay, so that's good company. Shoyasavar the man the paruch. Shoyasavar the man the paruch lufa mipesach shar chotzer agoiva paruch. Because that whole shot was dependent on a different understanding of the Gemara's question. Lemifsel goiva yosem mehei amas to pass anything higher than 5. Okay, bottom line is it's a mistaken shot, so let's not focus too much on it, and let's move on. So the pshat that we had said is a right pshat, that the question all along was that the width should be allowed to be wider. We said now we have no knowledge that the width is wider. We were never focused on the height, we were always focused on the width. And another pshat, Rashi says, is a mistaken pshat, so we can go with Rashi and I can sleep tonight. Okay, fine. So back to the Gemara. So we're done with that. We took care of the width. Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, right. Okay, so back to the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda mi pischa shel ulam gamar. Okay, so it's a kav. Rabbi Yehuda mi pischa shel ulam gamar. Okay, now what are we saying? We're saying that Rabbi Yehuda basically said you can go up to. Doesn't say how much you say. He says in the Mishnah you just go higher. Doesn't say how much higher. He just said you don't have to lessen it if it's more than 20 amas. So we assume, based on Rav's understanding, that the Rabbanan learned it out from the height of the entranceway of the Heichel, and Rabbi Yehuda learned it out from the entranceway of the Ulam, which is 40 amas high. It's a fair thing. Gemara of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda bi Pischa shel Ulam Gamar. Is that really true that he learns that from the Pesach of the Ulam? But Tanan, which says the Mishnah, Varacham Eser Amas Yamayit. Okay, if it's wider than 10 amas, you have to lower it. V'lopag Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't argue. Now, if Rabbi Yehuda learns that from the Ulam had two parts. Not only was it 40 amas high, how wide was it? It was 20 amas wide. See, if the Ulam is the basis for Rabbi Yehuda, why wouldn't he argue with the other part of the Mishnah that says that if it's more than 10 amas wide, you got to lessen it? Rabbi Yehuda should say, no, you don't. You can go till 20 amas. Just like you can go till 40 as far as the height, you should be able to go up to 20 as far as the width. So why is Rabbi Yehuda being silent where he shouldn't be silent if his source is the Ulam? Mar answers, Abaye answers, Polig bebraisa. What's not stated in the Mishnah, he states in a Brisa. The Tanya, as the Brisa says, Varochav Yudamis Yumayit. If it's more than 10 amas, what does the Mishnah say now? What does the Brisa say? If it's more than 10 amas, you got to lessen it because 10 amas is the maximum width of an entranceway, of a doorway. But sure enough, Rabbi Yehuda argues here. Rabbi Yehuda, oh, so here you have it. Rabbi Yehuda, what's not spoken out of the Mishnah is spoken out in the Brisa. But why not argue in the Mishnah? I mean, what are you're sparing me words? Why would you not argue the fairish in the Mishnah? If Rabbi Yehuda hold that you can go up to 20 in the width, then why not argue in the Mishnah where it says Polig v'gayva v'uadin l'rochva? There are times where the Mishnah is not so verbose and we don't explain things so clearly. The Mishnah assume you'll figure it out. If the Mishnah will assume you figure out if Rabbi Yehuda argues with the height that you can go up to 40. He'll also argue with the width that you can go more than 10 up to 20. So, and the Brisa wasn't so confident about the fact you'll figure that out. So the Brisa made it clearer what the Mishnah doesn't really explain. So not too much. One Rashi, like Pagab Yehuda v'mu ulam gamar lichshav rochav chaf. Right? If Rabbi Yehuda learned it out from the ulam, why wouldn't he allow the width of 20 to work? Because after all, the entranceway of the ulam was 40 by 20. So that should be his dimensions. Okay, so right there, back to the Gemara, only one Rashi. Is it really true that Rabbi Yehuda learns it out from the opening of the ulam, and he can go up to 40? Doesn't sound too plausible. Why not? Vatanya says in the Brisa, right? That's our Mishnah, and it's now in this Brisa that if a mavi is above 20, you got to lessen the kura below 20. Rabbi Yehuda machshir ad mem v'nun amma, and Rabbi Yehuda says no, it's kosher up to 40 or 50 amas. V'tani bar kapara ad meya, and bar kapara says up to 100 amas. So something is fishy here. If Rabbi Yehuda learns it out from the from the ulam. What do you mean you have, like, it almost sounds like you have an infinite number. So Bishleim lebar kapara guzma. I can, according to bar kapara, I get it, because bar kapara says 100 amas. That was just an exaggeration. Right here, you have a right that sometimes Tanam do exaggerate with numbers just to sort of dramatically say way more than your 20. I hold how much, up to 100, which doesn't really mean 100. So I can interpret bar kapara to really mean 40, but it just says 100 for dramatic purposes. However, he says Bisham bar kapara guzma el Rabbi Yehuda my guzma. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says 40 or 50. You can't turn 40 or 50 into a guzma. Then say 50. What do you mean 40, 50? Okay. So Bishleima Rabbi Yehuda, what's a little base? Bishleima arbaim gamar pischa shel ulam. Right. So I understand, take out the word Rabbi Yehuda. I understand the 40 number makes sense. The 40 number is learning it out from the opening of the ulam, and that was 40 high. Elanun minole. Okay, so the 50, where does he get that from? Where does he understand that the 50 is valid? So Rav Chizda hamasisa atosei l'rav. So Rav Chizda says that the Brisa sort of misguided Rav. What do you mean? How did the Brisa misguide Rav? The Tanya, because since it said Mavi shugavayim b'chaf ama yosim pischa shalecha yamayit, right? The Brisa we learned yesterday that if a Mavi is more than 20 amas high, more than the opening of the heichel, you have to lessen it. So he extrapolated from that brisa. What did he learn? He learned that the Rabbanon based here 20 amas shear based on the heichel, the height of the heichel. So he thought that, well, if the Rabbanon based there 20 based on the height of the heichel of the base of Mikdash, there must be Rabbi Yehuda who argues bases his height on the ulam. V'lohi, but it's really not true. The two opinions are not based on the same concept of looking at the base of Mikdash and looking at the height of the opening of the base of Mikdash. V'lo, it's not true. Rabbi Yehuda mi pischo the malchin gamar. Rabbi Yehuda based his shear on the opening of kings' palaces. So forget the ulam. In other words, this whole problem came in because we thought it was the ulam. Ulam is 40, and the question is, what do you get to 50? How do you get to 50? The answer is, I get to 50 because, and the reason why I said 40, 50, just for, sort of dramatic purposes, you even go up to 50. Why? Because king's palaces are a doorway too, and they go up very, very high. So there's no problem. There's no problem going up to 50. Okay, so let's just catch up with the Rashis here. He says, V'tani bar kapara, right? B'milsad Rabbi Yehuda ad meya ama. Okay, and bar kapara learns pshat in Rabbi Yehuda up until 100. Then Abishleim, how do you explain that? If the ulam is the basis, how do you explain that? Abishleim bar kapara iklam emar Rabbi Yehuda ulam gomar. Maybe you could really say that Rabbi Yehuda learns it out from the ulam. V'imachshe b'goyva bar boim. And he really doesn't say it's valid more than 40. So why use the number 100 if it's not valid more than 40? He learned it was an exaggeration. Since Rabbi Yehuda holds it's kosher more than 20, from 30 on, it's sort of, just figured I'll be dramatic and I'll sort of really exaggerate the distance. I figure I'll go more because already 30 is a lot more, so I'll go up to 100 just to make it clear that I go up to 40. So. But the question is, according to the other pshat that says 40 or 50, how do you explain that? And the answer is Atise Rav. The Rav was misguided by making the ulam the basis for Rabbi Yehuda. He was really misguided he took the words and he just basically was misled. Atase Rav the Amar Le'el Rabbi Yehuda lom the elam mi Pesach ulam. Rav, who said that Rabbi Yehuda in yesterday's Zomah said that Rabbi Yehuda learned it out from the entranceway of the ulam, that was a mistake. Rav sort of was misled based on the language of the Brisa. The Brisa that we mentioned later on sort of misled him. So what is the source? The source is Pischa de Malachim. Stama Pischa Malachim Goyven Harbe. The typical entranceway of a king is very high. So since that's very high, Rabbi Yehuda says, you know what? Forget about the base of Mikdash. That's not the basis at all. It's a base on royalty. And royalty openings, doorways have a very high opening, and therefore you can go real high. Okay, we'll stop here.